This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
It's time for another edition of Mase in Your Face. Now, along with college football immortality, Glen Mason, here's Dan Barrera.
I almost forgot what Mase looked like. How about you, Guardsy? When he walked into your studio during the Creed segment, did he even recognize you?
No, you know what he said to me?
What's that?
Would you please go comb your hair? Your hair is all windblown from being in Fargo. And that what you said?
That's just so cheap.
Fact versus fiction. That's exactly what I said.
That's unbelievable.
I can't believe it.
Well, didn't it look like it was windblown?
Yeah, a little bit. Well, it's windy out.
I know.
Yeah, it is windy out even here. So, well, welcome back. It's good to have you back.
Hey, you know what? I hate to say it, really.
Yeah.
It's good to be back.
It's good to have you back.
It's,
Are you nuts?
It might be a stretch. I miss doing the show. It might be a stretch
to say you miss
that
me.
I miss you.
Yeah, I can.
You know what I mean?
I'll take that. I can accept.
Yeah.
I can accept that. Yeah, it's Coach Day on the program. Tom Crean. We just had him on. Did you ever know him? You guys,
No,
your
not
paths
really.
ever cross?
No,
You've been out of this how many years now? 15?
18.
8? Are you
18.
serious?
18? Maybe this is the 19th year. I don't know.
No.
2006 is my last year.
Oh, you're right. 19.
19 years.
That makes no sense to me. It does not feel like it's that long.
It doesn't for me either.
Almost 20 years. Do you think you and Material will ever kiss and make up?
Well, I'm on your show, aren't I? I mean, come on. There's a lot of people with questions.
Shows you anything's possible.
You, I don't know.
Oh, my God.
But no, you asked the question about Tom Crean. I really don't know Tom, but I know his family, his distance family. You know, his father-in-law, Jack Harbaugh, and I think I've told that story on here, which is a great story.
You guys had to bunk up.
We bunked up.
Yeah. I was on a recruiting trip, right?
I was at Allegheny College. He had just gone to Michigan, and I'd met him in Chicago at a convention with a guy, Mo Ankney, who had coached with him.
You said you're about to say you met him at a bar or something.
No.
Oh, okay.
And he was going to have lunch with Mo Ankney, so I went along and bought me lunch. And the next time I saw him was at Pittsburgh Central Catholic, and I walked in. He was watching film. Hey, Jack, how you doing? He goes, hey, and we're talking and watching film together. And then he said, hey, I don't know what you're doing tonight, but I'm staying at the Holiday Inn down at Pittsburgh Airport. You ought to stop by for a beer. So I said, well, great. I networking. I was going to do that. And I went down there, and he bought me a beer, and I was eating pretzels like they were nonstop. He said, man, you must like pretzels. And I said, well, I haven't eaten yet. He said, well, order something. So he ordered me a hamburger, and he said, where are you staying tonight? And I said, well, I'm not sure. I haven't heard back yet because we have a low budget, normally parents of players. And he says, well, heck, just stay with me, and there's no problem. And I said, great. So I went up to his room, and there's only one bed. And I go, Jack, he goes, oh, shit. And I said, I'll just sleep on the floor. No, you're not going to sleep on the floor. I said, Jack, I'm not going to sleep. I'll sleep on the floor. He said, hey, I got brother. You're going to sleep in bed. So I slept in bed with him.
With Harbaugh. That's too good.
With Jack Harbaugh. And then the next morning, I get up. He says, you got time for breakfast? I said, oh, I sure do. Went down, I had breakfast.
He bought you breakfast?
Yeah. And he went by away. And then a couple of weeks later, I got a call from Mo Ankney laughing. He said, what's that? He says, Jack Harbaugh called me, and he said, he told me a story. He goes, what the heck's that guy's name? I don't even know his name.
Mase in Your Face.
The guy that really likes that story is Jim Harbaugh, the coach.
I'm sure he does.
Yeah, when I did one of the games that he had, Michigan versus Maryland, and I was on the telephone with him, he brought that up. He says, my dad told that story to the whole staff. They can't stop laughing. He says, is he true? I said, it's absolutely true.
It's like right out of Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Yeah, right.
It's a great story.
That'll make my book.
Yeah. Well, have you figured out who's writing it yet?
Not yet.
Haven't figured it out. Well, maybe we can negotiate sometime.
Yeah, I think
You know what the problem is? Your percentage would be you want too much of the percentage.
Well, like there's going to be any profit? I don't know.
Well, you never know. I think it would sell very well regionally.
There's only, I hate to say it, there's only one of two guys that should write that book because our history, so to speak.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It ought to be you or Pat Rice.
Yeah,
it really ought.
You know Friday the birthday that Royce will be celebrating? You know how old he will be
81.
on Friday? 80.
80. Wow.
80. Big one. He was actually going to be in here on Monday.
That's not that old.
And then he's having some, I think he's having some knee issions, which he's trying to get taken care of.
Well, good. He can write it while he's laid up.
There you go. That's right.
Or
captive audience.
You know, I mean, really, I'm serious.
Well, we'll talk about it. We might be able to do it. Could we stand each other enough? That's the question. Because you got to be in close proximity.
I know it.
Okay, just so you know.
I think you guys should recreate the Harbaugh story while you're writing the book. You just stay in a hotel together. You can get your own bag.
There you go. That's it.
But
I know who would be buying all the meals and the beer.
You?
Me. That's right.
Well, because you got all the money.
Well, what money?
I mean, you had the big buyout.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And you're frugal. You're not a big spender.
We've talked. Well, I'm not cheap like you, but I'm not a big spender. We've talked about this before, but everybody has to agree that these ADs, college presidents, board of trustees, have lost their mind. I mean, sooner or later, someone's got to, in closed doors, probably trustees, that's what it ought to be, or regents, whatever you want to call them, say,
enough's enough.
This is insanity.
But they're all in on it. That's the thing. I don't know if anybody. I asked Gargi the other day, name me the coach who will have the first $100 million buyout. It's coming, right? I mean, Penn State guy was 58 or 50?
About 50.
50. So eventually, there's going to be it's going to be $100 million.
Well, the guy at Georgia, I think his buyout's 112.
Are you being serious?
No, I'm serious. What I saw on social media.
Look it up.
Check it out.
So it already exists, maybe.
Yeah, but he's not getting fired.
No, that's true. That's a very good point. All right, let's stay on time. I do have a couple of really good texts have come in early. We're going to try to get some bonus bucks for a lucky listener. Gartsy?
Fan and two men and a junk truck want to give you a shot to win bonus bucks with our national cash contest. You can enter the keyword credit at KFAN.com. That's your shot at winning. Go to KFAN.com and enter the keyword credit.
More Hoosier Hotline when we return. Gartsy, what about that $100 million buyout? Does that exist for Georgia guy?
It does. You want the top 10?
Yeah, that's a great idea.
From thebiglead.com.
Okay. Well, we should also probably mention, a texter reminds us of, I think, what you reminded me of the other day. Jimbo Fisher, that was a bigger buyout than Franklin, right? Jimbo was a $76 million for that buyout?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's about right. And most of the time, it's the buyout as of today, right?
Yeah,
because they all go down typically the more years that you've actually coached. A lot of times it's just the remaining money on your contract. Matt Rule, if he were to be fired, Nebraska coach, $56.28 million. Dabo Sweeney, $60 million. Mario Cristobal, $61. He's Miami. Brian Kelly, LSU, $62. Mike Norvell, Florida State, $63.
Yeah, that might be the only thing that saves him.
You're right, because that happens, right?
Yeah.
Steve Sarkisian, Texas, $64 million. Kalen DeBoer, $70 million. You may recall that a few weeks ago, an Alabama fan said if she won the record-setting Powerball, the first thing she would do is buy out Kalen DeBoer.
That's true, I did.
But she didn't win.
She didn't win, so he's still coaching. He's got Tennessee this weekend. Lincoln Riley is $90 million, and Kirby Smart's buyout as of now is $118 million.
Now you know AD, so how does this happen?
I'm going to tell you how. Just like I said before, I can't prove it, but I really believe that there was a secret conference that took place of these ADs, presidents, and board of trustees, regents, whatever you call it, all of them got together and they say, this is what we're going to do. And we're going to show everybody that we're in control because it makes no sense, but we're in control. And it's not. Can you imagine? I can only imagine the uproar on college, let's say Penn State, and they're cutting a program or this, or they're raising tuition, and they're arguing over nickels and dimes, and they're paying a guy $50 million that went out the door
to go away.
That, in reality, you look at his record, oh, yeah, that's pretty good. He beat nobody. Who did he beat? I mean, he beat Ohio State one time when they got a field goal block when Urban Meyer was there going to win the game going away. He was 5-5 against Michigan State. Had to have a losing program against Michigan, and they've not been world beaters there for a while. I mean, it's It's crazy. I guess he was pretty good against Maryland and Rutgers.
That's not what you're paying him for, though.
No, absolutely.
So, are you comfortable as a former coach, even with those facts, because those are facts, are you comfortable with him being dismissed?
Well, I wouldn't have done it right now like they did it, And I say that I know the rationale is, let him go now because then we're first in line for the coach that we want, okay? I don't think it's fair to the players on that team. I really don't. I mean, they signed it. They're trying their best. They don't want to lose those games, but to have that season, especially for the older guys, just turned upside down like that. The other thing, from a business stance, every one of those players can get into the portal right now, And I always thought that, maybe it'd be better if you had a discussion coming down the wire, Pat Kraft, the AD or the president, whatever, and say, James, not that you've done a terrible job here, but you're not up to our standards. The best thing for both of us, why don't you look for an opening? There might be someone else that's looking for you. You got a pretty good overall record, but, you haven't beaten the guys we want you to beat. But maybe you can leave and land in a different place, and it could be a win-win for both of us. Now, I don't know if that's unrealistic or not, but I think that would be a better thing than all of a sudden after a 3-game losing streak, boy, he's gone, and it's an uproar, and you're not going to hire a coach right now anyway. And now every coach that might be interested, they have to face the press in their market and tiptoe around, are you interested or not? And even if they come out and just adamantly said, there is no way I'm leaving here, you can't believe them or not. And if the guys tiptoed, I heard Matt Rule tiptoe around. I was born a Penn State fan. I was born with a Penn State shirt. Well, that doesn't sound like a hard no to me.
No, it does not, does it?
He says his wife decides where they live.
Yeah.
That's
I believe that.
Yeah. There's a lot of guys that claim wives make decisions. That's just decisions you don't want to take credit for.
Yeah, that's often.
So what's he going to do? Say, I didn't want to leave, Husker fans, but my wife's making me leave? Come on, I'm not buying it.
Let me ask you, because you remember what happened with Penn State this year. They play a very competitive game with Oregon, right? And they lose in OT. Was it single OT or double OT? I don't remember. Is it double? Double OT. But, that's not a sin, right? No. It's a good ball game. And then they go to UCLA and get killed early. They ended up making it a relatively competitive game, but they didn't win. UCLA had been winless to that point. Maybe they awakened a beast because now UCLA, they went to Michigan State and they dominated. And then they come back home and they lose to Northwestern. So I'm going to use a crushing defeat in your history here to try to ask this question. Why are you bringing
me into this?
Well, because I'm trying to make a point. Can one game for a good team, if they lose a game that they had every opportunity to win and it's a big one, do you buy the notion that teams can unravel after that? That mentally, it's just everybody says got to get over it. Next game, whatever. But that it can have a significant impact because we were talking about the Michigan game because the next week. How much did that take out of you, I guess is what I'm saying? Because I think then, didn't you end up, you had half the people for Michigan State for home the next week, and you lost that game.
Yeah.
So is there such a thing as much as you try to coach players back up, that something gets lost? And I'm using it as the example currently of Penn State, what may have happened to them where you start losing that stuff and you just can't get your team back.
Well, first of all, losing to Oregon is not what cost him his job. If he would have beat UCLA and beat Northwestern, he'd still be the coach there right now. Now, people might be complaining.
Yeah, right. But they wouldn't have a chance.
And then all of a sudden, going down the road, if he won a game, he kept winning the teams he should. And let's say he beat Ohio State. Give him a contract extension. That's the way it works. There is definitely a hangover effect in athletics. I really believe that. One way or another. If you play a game, for your example, of Michigan, where we played awfully well, but we lost the game, all of a sudden everybody's still what if this, what if that,
Right.
I mean, going into the next week. So if you don't watch out, one team can beat you twice. Or the second thing, you may have a great victory against someone. You beat somebody you shouldn't beat.
Yep.
And then, again, it's Thursday, and your girlfriend and the guys in the dorm and mom and dad are still talking about that great victory. Well, that's not helping you win the next game.
It works both ways. Here's the text that came in earlier. This is from Sol and Blaine. Will you ask Mase, in all his years coaching the Gophers, had some very solid squads. In today's playoff system in college football, what do you believe was your best squad that you feel, if there had been a playoff like there is now, that your team might have been dangerous? He's saying it would have to be Maroney, Barber as the duo at running back, but he's interested in your view if you've ever given that any thought or can give that any thought right now.
Well, I don't. I haven't coached in a long. I hate to say it. I coached a long time, but I haven't coached in a long time. A lot of those teams just really go together. But when we had Barber and Maroney and Tepe, and we had an awful good offensive line, and it seemed like we could control the line of scrimmage offensively and move the ball on anybody. And contrary to what a lot of people think, we weren't one-dimensional. We threw the ball awful well. I think because of that ability during that period when we had those guys, that even though we play some teams, let's say, had better talent, if they would play poor or make a mistake, turn the ball over once, I felt like we could beat anybody. Now, obviously, we didn't play in the college football playoff era. We didn't play in the 4-team era. We didn't play in the 12-team era. The whole emphasis, which is kind of sad because I'm a traditionalist, was the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, that was the game.
That was the fall, and not just for Minnesota, for every team in the Big Ten. That was the cherry on top of the pie. Get to the Rose Bowl.
I mentioned Hoosier Hotline. I do have to talk a little bit about the Hoosiers. In this, I'll start it with this as your toss-up, because you and I talked about this a little bit off-air, and I thought you had an interesting answer. The paranoia around there, I'm sure, is, well, now everybody's going to come after Cignetti. One of the reports on Penn State I heard was they want the Notre Dame coach, but who knows? So, I mean, how concerned should Hoosier fans be? If you're counseling for some reason off the record the AD and the folks who run things at IU on how to give yourself the best chance to not have to be paranoid about losing this guy who's, turned around one of the worst programs ever. What's your counsel? What is your advice to him? To them? How do you get it done?
Well, first of all, I really don't think that Curt Cignetti, at 64 years old, where he is looking to leave Indiana right now. And if I was Indiana, you have the conversation with them, say, what you've done is unbelievable. Now, we want to do everything that we possibly can to continue this. And I think if they took that approach, I really don't think that he would leave. I think the only reason why he'd leave, they had success, and all of a sudden he wants something reasonable. And they say, no, we've never done that here before. Well, you've never won here before. Don't give them that analogy, but that happens sometimes. So I think that the situation down there, and if they're really, really smart, because the collateral benefits of what's happening in football at Indiana, you can't put $1 and cents. They're sold out the rest of the season. And the next thing you're going to see is someone from admissions going to say that, we used to have 50,000 applications. Now we have 100,000 applications. We used to take, 1 in 15 applicants. Now we're taking 1 in 3 because everybody wants to go there because it's fun. Not to mention the financial benefits of every guy that owns a bar or a restaurant or a motel. They're probably parking cars in those lots right across the street for who knows how much money. It's unbelievable.
Why is it so difficult for the academics at a school who, despise the whole concept of sports and lack of proportion, and we emphasize this too much? How is it they can't be persuaded that on a practical level, you can hold your nose the whole time, but practically speaking, most of what you say has been proven time and time again as being true?
So why doesn't some people like it? Well,
why don't they?
It's human nature. It's called jealousy.
Envy and jealousy. Okay.
It really is. I had a guy when I was at the U one time, college professor. Well, first of all, I was on this committee. This is great. I was on this committee. I forget for why, whether they put me on a committee. And I was doing one of my contract negotiations, and I came in, and the chair said, before he gets started, he looked at me and he said, "How much money do you want?" And I said, "Oh, I don't want money." He said, "What do you want then?" I said, "I want tenure like you." It was never brought up again. But during the same course, the guy says, how come every time when I go home at night, I turn on the TV, I see you getting interviewed about something? You said, "Do you think I want that? Huh? Do you think I want to go on with these jokers and answer these ridiculous questions?" No. What I'm saying is they're thinking that what they do is really, really important to them.
Oh, it is.
It is. It absolutely is important. The problem is the general public.
Yeah.
They're not going to look at this. I'll give you another one. When I was at
who was the professor? Do you remember?
No, I do, but I'm not going to tell you.
Is he still there?
I don't think he's still breathing, to be honest with you.
Okay, all right.
But when I was at Ohio State, the Alumni Association would always want the coaches to go out to these alumni groups all around the country. And I think that the head football and basketball coach used to give them, 4 or 5 appearances a year. And then the alumni director, he always hit me and a couple other guys up, a couple of them. But he told me one time they kept records. Attendance at alumni meetings, okay, for Ohio State. Now, here it was. The top draw was the head football coach. The next top draw was the head basketball coach, okay? The next was assistant football, then assistant basketball, then the band director. Who was sixth? The president of the university. Well, I'm not saying that's right.
Right, but
a lot of people have a problem. So all of a sudden, the guy that's the assistant professor of history and he has to go there, what chance does he have?
Not much.
No, and it's not bad on him.
You're not endorsing it.
I'm not trying to make fun of it, but I'm saying
that's the reality.
People don't have an interest in it.
Guardsy, what's the have we had any controversial speakers at the Dunkers? We had those controversies when we were bringing back Jerry Kill.
When Jerry Kill was coming?
We had any
I don't
Dunker
think so.
Controversies this year?
No, I think it's been I think we set them straight.
Well, you've spoken to Dunkers a bunch, I assume.
lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Lately?
Well, no.
They're forgetting about you. You've been out too long.
Well, I tell you a story. So a couple of years ago, I'm not going to mention that guy.
Well, mention it. Come on, give us names.
No, I'm not like you. I don't throw people under the bus all the time.
Well, all the time. Yeah.
But anyway, I had a guy, one of the guys there said, "Hey, would you come and speak at the Dunkers? People, you talk to a lot of the older guys really like you. Why don't you come back, give a perspective?" I said, "Yeah, I'll do it." So anyway, I gave him a date. And then he called me back and he said, he says, "I'm going to have to cancel you out." And I said, "Oh, really? Okay." He says, "I got somebody better, but I'll try to fit you in next year."
Are you not?
What he said?
So I have an ego. I thought,
you do?
No, that's it. I'm done. So
why don't you name him? He doesn't even deserve protection when he says something like that.
Well, who did they get that's better?
Yeah, do you remember who it was? Jerry Kill?
Who knows?
Was it Jerry Kill?
They don't even have the Dunkers downtown anymore, do they?
No, it's at Interlochen.
At Interlochen.
I don't even know. Is that true?
Mm-hmm.
All right. I'll give you one more Hoosier hotline question. How do you... I mean, you know all the numbers, right, on the degree to which... I think that's the first time they've ever beaten a team on the road ever that was a top 5 ranked team. They're ranked 3rd in the country, highest ranking they've ever had. I was reminded they were 4th most recently, twice in '67, the year they shared with the Gophers the Big Ten title, but they got to go. They played OJ, in fact, in the Rose Bowl. They're one of the worst programs, in terms of wins losses ever in a big school, so to speak. So how does one, we know kind of what happened last year. You could say some of it was scheduled, but then they just also were really good at killing people they were supposed to beat. But he's built on it. So how do you explain it as a former coach? What do you see?
It's for me, it's hard for me to imagine it. And I say this because when you look at India, I would have to venture to say that during the course of their whole program, they probably averaged less than 4 wins a year. I'm guessing. I think I'm pretty close, okay? And then they had some moments of glory, but not many. But then for Cignetti to come in that quick to make them that good like they were last year and then back it up this year. Now, I know things are a little bit different because of the transfer portal and guys being immediately eligible and no limitations on how many new guys you have in the year, which is foreign to anything I knew because you always had a limit of new guys you could bring in your program, 25, because no one wanted, all the people in control said if we didn't have those controls, you'd run guys off, which is terrible. We can't have that in college athletics. Well, now they want runoff. So if you bring a new guy in and the team's bad, which means they don't have good talent, get rid of them all. And if you can get guys to come from the program you came from or steal them from other program, you have a chance if you're doing the right thing and you're smart and organized enough to get better faster. Now, then after you do that, the challenge is to keep them. Just like that, who's a better quarterback than they got down there? And he's a young guy. Yeah. Mendoza, is that his name?
Mendoza, yeah.
Yeah, he's really good. I bet you better be putting up the armed guard because somebody that has a big bankroll will be going there talking to him about leaving and coming to their place.
I'm looking, for example, you go even back to the DiNardo era. Your guy, a good coach. Big Ten. So this is 2002 at Indiana. 3 straight seasons of 1-7. The next year, 1-7. 2008. 3 straight seasons of 1-7 starting then. 2011, 0-8, 2-6, 3-5, 1-7, 2-6, 2-7, 2-7. Now Tom Allen had a couple of good years.
Yep.
Then he goes back to 0-9, 2-7, and 1-8. So the 3 years before Cignetti gets here, or gets to Indiana, I guess I should say, their Big Ten record is 3-24. That's what he's turned around. Last year he was 8-1 in the Big Ten.
But here's Tom Allen had that good year.
He did, yeah.
And they signed him to a big contract.
That's true.
And he went the other way.
With your thinking of you're trying to commit to him.
Yeah. And I'm sure that the naysayers, when Cignetti came in last year in that year and they did whatever they did, I think they really stepped up keeping his defensive coordinator and whatever they did for him. There were some people say, yeah, we've done this before. Let's look out.
Here's a text
but he's backed it up.
that you might want to react to. I think Guardsy might enjoy it as well. Dan, it's amazing how if you have a good coach like Cignetti and a sugar daddy like Mark Cuban, your program can quickly leap into the top 10. I think Fleck could get us there if the U could find a sugar daddy that could have been T. Denny Sanford if Mother Maturi hadn't screwed that up.
He's right about a lot of that. I don't think it was just Maturi that screwed up.
No, to be
Maturi
fair,
probably shouldn't get the heat.
To be fair, he shouldn't on
but
that.
I'm going to tell you, I don't defend myself a lot, but it wasn't me. I can tell you that. You can write that one down.
You spent plenty of time with old T. Denny.
Big shot boosters have always been a part of this, as you know. But I do feel like now more than ever, you need a billionaire. Cuban's a billionaire. You need a billionaire, not a millionaire. You need a billionaire on your side.
Wait a minute. A billionaire that's interested enough. Fanatic enough.
Yeah.
Crazy enough to put his money where his mouth is. Like the guy at Texas Tech. Anyway, he's a billionaire, and he's, I think, the head of the board of trustees. So whatever he says is going to go down there. And that's basically what they've done. But you're right, but there's a lot of people with a lot of money that have no interest in putting the money that way.
That's true. It's got to be both. They got to have the money and they got to have the interest. You're exactly right.
Yeah, I mean, you look at this town, there's a lot of people with a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
Huh? I mean, all of a sudden, I'll just say, let's say if the McMillan, Cargo family. Yeah, we got more money than those guys. If they said, you know what, okay, open up the cash, that would be a ball mark for them. Ball mark.
There's no question. They're too busy weren't they buying up Duluth?
They were buying up Duluth, but I think they've stopped.
They stopped doing that?
Yeah. We'll never know what their plans were.
In fairness, I should mention for accuracy's sake, Cuban, because we talked about this the other day, Cuban has not invested that much until now. He just said he hasn't.
He's jumping on the bandwagon.
He's jumping on the bandwagon.
Yeah.
But you know what? If you're a coach, you'll take it, right? You're not going to mock him for jumping on the bandwagon if he's writing a check for $5 million every year, right?
Why? What do you care?
Yeah, what do you care? You just take advantage of the whole deal.
Yeah, I'd look at it and say, well, he would have gone in here before if I would have been here before. You know?
We've got a lot of good questions coming in for you, Mase, including this individual, 701 guy. Did Mase catch any of Iowa's shutout of Wisconsin? And speaking of, coaches.
Where's 701 anyway? I know where it is.
You know it better than most.
Absolutely.
You probably watched the game with that
you
person.
might have, yeah.
I probably had a beer with the guy.
I mean, can it get any worse than it is in Madison?
No,
right now?
I was shocked. I mean, I've said it before. Luke Fickell, I thought when they hired him out of Cincinnati, I thought he was a home run.
Hard not to believe it.
And man, it's going to be a struggle turning it around. It's going from bad to worse. And for Iowa to score 37 points, is that right?
Yep.
37 to zip. Now,
they usually
I could
don't score that in
understand
whole
the
seasons.
zip maybe because at times the Iowa defense, but 37 points. Iowa can't score 37 points on air. I mean, there must be, and I don't know if they've got injuries. I don't know what the problem is. But there's got to be a lot of unhappy campers over there. And you'd have to think, I guess, the good side of big buyouts, if it didn't have a big buyout, he'd probably be gone.
All right, let's talk some Gophers, Purdue, and then they're preparing for a big game Friday night here on national TV against the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Mase in your face continues. Mase, in your illustrious coaching career, did you ever bring your players together during a game, or let's say at halftime, to say, guys, they are begging us to win this game. We are going to regret it for the rest of our lives if we do not take advantage of the opportunity they offer. Because to me, that's basically what PJ Fleck should have said at some point in that game when they're playing the Purdue Boilermakers. Did you ever do that?
Well, I don't know if I used exactly those terms.
Might be a little melodramatic?
Yeah, but I mean, there have been times that you get in there and you say, hey, fellas, this game ought to be over already. 3 times in the red zone, and we ended up trying 3 field goals, and we missed one, and another time we're going and we fumble the ball. We're a lot better than they are. They're not very good. You look at them. We should be running away with this game.
That was my impression of Gophers Purdue. I don't know how much of it you got to see. You didn't get, because you said you tried to find it and couldn't.
I couldn't. I was up in Fargo, and it was on the Big Ten Network, and the electronic devices that were afforded to me, wasn't on there. I couldn't
Big Ten
believe
Network
it.
was not included?
No, it wasn't on there. Just terrible.
Yeah. Guardsy and I talked about this. Vikings run defense has been awful this year. Gophers run defense, similarly awful this year. What's that about? I mean, generally speaking, is it you just not stout enough at the line of scrimmage? Is it linebackers?
Yeah, no, that's where it starts. The old saying about that the first thing you got to do is you got to control the line of scrimmage. You got to win up front. Yeah. And as I remind guards all the time that figures lie and liars figure. So not being able to watch that game, you look at the stats, which can be misleading. But the thing that jumped up to me, the thing that you're talking about, and this has been a recurring thing for the Gophers from my vantage point. They have trouble running the football.
Yeah.
I think they ran the ball for 30 yards. Is that accurate?
That's correct.
Guardsy? 30 yards. And then on the flip side, Purdue, I think they rushed for 250 yards or more. To me, there's something out of balance. And you remember a week ago, we were talking about the Gophers against Ohio State, and I talked about mismatch of talent. Everybody could see that, let's face it. But I said the offensive line, for the most part against a very good defensive line of Ohio State, I thought they pass protected pretty darn well. But in the run game, they got manhandled. I mean, I'm watching that part of it, and I'm an old offensive line coach. They get knocked backwards. That happens. You can't run the football. So I don't know if that's the only answer, but when you have to the point of the Gophers and the Vikings, you talk about when we had the really good running backs. Well, we had awful good linemen. Yeah. And when you start talking about Esslinger and I can't get him in the Hall of Fame, Guardsy. I don't know if I ever told you that, but he only won the Outland Trophy. But we had him and those other guys that we had. Not just him, but we had 5 guys that could really. Mark Setterstrom. I mean, he was as good as he got overshadowed. Mark did because of how good Esslinger was. But sometimes those guys that run through the line, everybody be cheering. I think, heck, I could have ran through there. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so that was the perfect storm why our running attack was so good. We had guys that could really block, and we had guys that knew what to do with it.
Speaking of, I had Guardsy get some sound I want you to listen to from, speaking of Signetti. This is, I don't know what network this was on.
It's on Joel Klatt's podcast.
Joel Klatt's podcast, because the subject came up whether there's too many people who've been disrespectful of Indiana, including who's the SEC guy who's now going to run for Senate?
Paul Feinbaum.
Paul Feinbaum continues to hammer Indiana and at least the coach. Listen to the theory offered up here. I want to get your reaction to it if you think there's anything to it or you think Signetti is being, like many coaches tend to be, a little bit paranoid when he says this. Let's listen.
And let's face it, college athletics, college football has really changed a lot. In the last 5, 10, 15 years. And there's a division. There's no doubt about it in the media. And a lot of it's tied into whatever TV network is covering which conference. And then you're going to have sports writers that support those schools and are against the other schools. So there is definitely a great divide.
He's basically saying if you have an pro SEC bias because your network is doing more of their games, that's why you tend to minimize success, for example, by Indiana in the Big Ten. You think there's anything to that, or you think he's being a little paranoid?
No, I think there's something to it. I can only speak from personal experience. When I was with the Big Ten Network, and I think you'd have a hard time going back and saying, oh, he's pulling for Minnesota, he's pulling for Ohio State. No, I pulled for the Big Ten. And I'd get a little defensive sometimes when, back in those days when said, SEC, any team in the SEC could win the Big Ten. I said, well, wait a minute, that's not true. Now, I don't know, Paul Feinbaum, he's got all the, who did he play for anyway? That guy, huh? I think he played for Indiana back in the old days.
He could have in the old days, that's for sure.
And he's in a run for.
He's thinking about running for Senate. I think. I don't know if that's official.
You don't think we got problems in the government, huh?
You think it might get worse?
Maybe I ought to do that. What do you think?
We've talked about that before.
We had you Wayzata mayor. You didn't want to do it. You didn't want
to. Yeah, we would have started the campaign.
Yeah, I didn't live in Wayzata though.
That was the. Well, that's never stopped many people from running for various
that's true.
offices. That's for sure. 612 guy writes, how can PJ recruit when even a millionaire in Fargo can't get the Gophers on TV? Pretty good point.
Who's me?
You're the millionaire, of course. Yeah, there's no question about that.
Well, I guess that's a little bit of a problem. One thing I saw, and I don't know if this was a glitch or whatever, but I was watching one of the games that was on, I want to say it was on ABC, but I might be wrong. And who would have been on ABC? It would have been Alabama or somebody. Yeah. And I was watching the game, and it's coming right down to the end. And it went through over the time period for the North Dakota State, and that was going to be on there. They flipped it right over.
They did.
I mean, right over.
Not even a Close call.
Not even we'll see you later. Boom.
Wow.
I thought I inadvertently changed the channel. No, they
didn't. Well, they must have moved it maybe to one of the other. Maybe they moved to the ESPN 4 or something. But that's not the same as ABC. Yeah.
I don't think I don't know. I forget. I think it might have been one of those other channels, but I'm not sure.
Gophers have a big one Friday night.
Yeah.
They are hosting the Nebraska Cornhuskers. What do you make of that matchup? What do you make of the condition of both clubs right now going into that game?
Well, I think it's obviously on paper, it's a big game. Nebraska, as we have said over the years, is not really Nebraska, but here they're sitting 5-1. And now they're going to play a Friday. I think they played away last week, too, didn't they?
They did at Maryland, I think.
Boy, that's tough to play away at Maryland and come back from a away game and have to play on a Friday night, but they agreed to it, I guess, to play Minnesota, and I'm sure in their camp they're thinking, well, if we play well, we should win this game to go to 6-1. Which is
they're ranked 25th, I think.
Yeah,
in the
they're
latest
25th,
poll.
so they haven't been ranked a long time. But at the same time, if you're PJ Fleck and the Gophers, you're thinking, well, we lost the game that we really feel bad about in California. We played Buckeyes. That's okay. We probably won a game that last week that we should have won bigger. But this game's really important because we got to go to 5-2. We don't want to go to 4-3. I don't know. I think it's probably going to come down to you would think that Matt Rule would think, telling his defensive coordinator to date, these guys are one-dimensional.
It's true.
And this quarter,
make them prove that they can run.
I don't know what happened to the quarterback because I couldn't see it. But statistically, he was not good last week. I was
not as good as he's been.
I was raving about him the week before, and so you give him protection. You think he can pick you apart. So you better be pretty good because we got to force these guys to run the football and see if we can hold up. And then on the other end of that, in the old days, I'm going to say the Tom Osborne, Nebraska, they'd have looked at the film of last week Purdue, and they would have said, if Purdue can rush the ball for 250 yards, we're talking about 500.
Yeah.
I mean, they would run the ball until you wave the white flag. So I think it's I think it's an important game. I think it's a defining game going forward for both teams.
Yeah, very much so. By the way, as we wrap up, want to thank our good friends, the sponsor, newest sponsor this year, Jack's Cafe. They are very excited about sponsoring this segment, and also they apparently were crowned Legends champion in the Minnesota Monthly Bracket Challenge. So they're rightly quite pleased.
They're hanging the banner. They beat Murray's among others.
Yeah, that's not easy to do.
I can't wait till you take us over there. I really can't.
Well, we'll do it. We'll do it. The problem is you're not in town enough.
Well,
you're either in Fargo or Florida.
I'm gonna be here for a while.
You will be here for a while?
Yeah.
All right, we'll make it work.
I really am.
Anything else before we go?
Well, I don't know. There was a couple. I think big games that we're talking about. You talk about going from bad to worse. You know who Wisconsin plays this week?
No.
Ohio State.
That should go well.
Then Oregon.
Yeah.
Back to back?
Yeah.
They just got out of the easy part of their schedule.
And then we talked about Iowa, what they did at Wisconsin. You know who they played this week?
Penn State.
Now, Iowa's sitting at 4-2.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they're thinking about this game. Oh, man, this is
why not us?
Just like the Gophers. There's an opportunity for us to go, 5-2. And then let's not be remiss. USC and Notre Dame. Now, Notre Dame lost their first two games, but everybody out there, all these announcers, their college football playoff team, because they are going to run the table. They lose this game, you can forget about it. They're not going to get in the college football playoff with 3 losses.
Some good matchups. All right, well, good to see you. You're going to be back here next week?
Next week.
That's the rumor?
Yes.
Outstanding.
No rumor.
Thanks for coming in. Good to see you as always. Kessler in about a half hour. Top 5 next, which will include?
You've talked about the Zimmerization of Kevin O'Connell. I'll give you the Sabanization of Kevin O'Connell.
Oh.